Thank you all for joining us today. Today's presentation will be on breaking down ERP barriers, how WithoutWire streamlines field service operations. Today's presenter is Steve Dwyer, Senior VP of Enterprise Sales. After the presentation, we're going to open the floor for Q&A, so please feel free to add any questions you might have in the chat. All right, well, without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to you, Steve. Take it away.
Thank you, Melissa, and welcome everyone. Pleased to present on the WithoutWire inventory platform today and our field service capabilities. Let's go to the next chart here. Okay, so couple things to point out about WithoutWire is we've been around for 24 years and we have strength in distribution, manufacturing, but one of my favorite areas is field service. And so we're going to focus on that today. We have over 7,500 active sites around the world. And as a proven solution, we have a very reliable 5-stage process to get you from start to finish and go live. If we look at our best of breed warehouse management inventory platform capabilities, you can see the strength on the inbound, receiving, put away, replenishment, the system-wide audit trail and administrative capabilities for full physical inventory count, ABC blind cycle count, permission-controlled inventory adjustments, FIFO, FIFO, stock rotation, and depth in manufacturing, depth in the outbound, and the pick, the pack, the print final documents, and ship goods or transfer goods out to the field, which brings me to field service, where we're going to dive into all of our functionality there today. As a inventory platform, we do fully extend to the Microsoft Power Platform. By default, we'd host in Microsoft Azure Cloud, though we could host in other clouds or on-premise. We have Power BI embedded in our dashboard and the capability to do Power Automate and Power Apps to really connect the system and allow you really future-proof capabilities so that you can integrate to your current ERP and systems with our open APIs or integrate to any ERP in the future as well. So just to further illustrate, our warehouse management system connects to your ERP with real-time integration. And then over time, you can build out your complete supply chain platform, whether that's adding in field service as phase 1 or a second phase, going deeper into kitting, light assembly, manufacturing, and other capabilities. From a device standpoint, virtually any iOS or Android device works with our same great user interface, though we do have the very rugged Zebra, Honeywell, and other brand manufacturers on the Android, long range, pistol grip, forklift mounted, tablets or mobile devices, hip mounted, or semi-rugged, enclosed iPhone here with the pistol grip, or completely consumer-based device, a Kindle Fire tablet, an iPad, an iTouch, or other devices. You can see this Bluetooth socket mobile that I'll be using today paired to my iPhone. Some of the key verticals we serve in field service, you can see here, lighting, fire security, and telecom. And I won't read the full list, but you can see that. A schematic of really what we're talking about is you have a main warehouse, maybe you have manned or unmanned warehouse satellite locations, or a fleet of technicians with their trucks, thinking of them as a warehouse on wheels. And you have your job sites and your job numbers, work orders, and service tickets. You may have a field service or job management system to schedule and dispatch your jobs out to the field, and your ERP accounting financial system. Working together with WithoutWire, you can think of this as a 3-legged stool where you're feeding us the new jobs, we drive picks of material out to the technician, or the technician views the jobs they've been dispatched for and make requests of those inventory. So here's another schematic of how this would flow. You order materials through your ERP. We do the receiving in WithoutWire and provide the results back to the ERP in real time. We then get requests of inventory, perhaps from the technicians or installers out in the field. We will then drive a transfer pick of materials out to the satellite warehouses, again, manned or unmanned, or the tech bin, or the tech truck, or the technicians will come every morning and pick up their materials for the day. Those are common flows. They then issue parts to the job and consume parts, potentially doing upsells right on the site, and then communicating with that field service tool so that as we record consumption in the mobile device of WithoutWire, we are providing a real-time data back to the field service or job management system, possibly concurrent with providing that same data to the ERP. And then at the end of the job with unused parts, we can return those, providing a PO receipt process, tying it to a job or free flow returns back to the warehouse. So everything's digital and you kind of eliminate those paper trails and those extra data entry steps. So this is kind of how we see that three-legged stool. Here's a typical item label. You can see this is an item lot barcode or an item barcode here and a lot barcode here. So different variations of how an item label can be produced. And we can use standard 3 of 9 barcodes, GS128 or GTIN barcodes, often used with lot or serial, where we parse the data that's contained within one barcode. And of course, we can parse data out of a 2D or QR barcode as well. I want to show a typical license plate. If you're not familiar, you can think about a license plate as a pallet tag. Here's an example on the outbound where 4 of 6 pallets, 6 pallets are being sent out to a job or a location. Fourth pallet contains these items on it, and you can see LP6282 here as a identifier. License plates can provide efficiency in labeling and efficiency in scanning and movements. An internal or external signature capture is available through our mobile device as well. And we might see an example of that today. We have multilingual capability on the mobile device and multilingual on the web console. This is kind of that air traffic control center, and you can see with Google Translate, I've moved it over to Spanish and we're getting that on the ribbons on the left. So at this point, I'd like to transition into a demonstration of our field service tool. And we have, again, those 2 key interfaces here. So starting with the main page, and if I refresh, I'm going to come into my company, select my site, and sign in. As I come into the application, you can see I'm logging in as John Doe, and I may have access to only the warehouse or all the sites, as an app admin, which I am here. But you can see we'll be working between truck 1 and the warehouse today. The first thing you'll notice is the Power BI embedded in our dashboard, and it's highly searchable. And so by just entering an item number, you can see it pairs it down to just that item in all of its locations with its description, in its bin location, with lot information, and is it tied to a project or unallocated? Is it active or on hold? Quantity and unit of measure. Similarly, if I wanted to search just by item description, because you may not memorize every part number in your operation, you can see it finds the match, which is a serialized part in this bin with these different serial numbers. They're active, quantity of 1. You can search by bin, by lot. So for example, on the bin search, if I want to look at my asset, I keep all my assets in one large bin called the asset bin. And so here I can see what's in the warehouse. If I just want to pare that down, here are my assets. I have 7 12-foot ladders, 8 18-footers, and I have 12 scaffolding sets with 3 tiers. If I want to look out at truck 1, I can see what assets belong on truck 1. And you'll notice here, a vehicle is one of those assets, and we have like a maintenance schedule. And when that maintenance comes due for maybe an oil or filter replacement, it goes to a QA hold status, the way we've set this system up today. So that indicates that this is ready for a service. And so then we can identify and bring those vehicles in to get serviced properly. So that kind of takes you through. We've got extra tabs here around inventory availability. So we have just-in-time supply. We have attributes that go beyond lot or serial, and cycle counts and order details as some other examples. I'll open this back up, and you can see my ribbons along the left for inbound purchase order receiving, outbound picks and transfers out to the technicians, the projects, the trucks. We have capabilities in light assembly and kitting or deep manufacturing if needed. We have fulfillment planning tools. So this is really handy for taking each item and giving it a min, max, and a reorder quantity. Very helpful for your procurement team. So with any of these items, we're looking across its total quantity, less what's on hold, what's inbound, what's demand on the system, and pending demand. We get a need quantity. Now, if I have options and I have product that exists at another site, I can request a transfer from that site to my site, which happens to be the main warehouse. I also, on something like this line, I only have the option to buy it because it doesn't exist anywhere. And I could place a quantity, select a vendor, and then coming down here to create the request will actually kick off a purchase order. And through our APIs, we could send that to your ERP, to other tools, or directly to the vendor if that's what your desired workflow. So a lot of flexibility there. Continuing down, we have a great deal of reports that go beyond just the Power BI that I showed you. An example being our inventory history report. Come back here. Inventory history. And if I look globally or locally, and if I want to look at all item numbers that have a certain transaction type of bin transfer, I view the report. That report generates a 74-pager, of which you can see the micro detail here of this. And what we have is a bunch of serial numbers. These were laptops that were moved by John Doe, and you can see the date that they were moved, and they get a transaction number 4093. There was a large quantity of them, like 36, so that's what you're seeing here. Any of these reports you can drop into an Excel or a CSV file as well. And then here's where you're gonna, under system maintenance, add your users, assign them permissions. What can they see on the web console? What can they access on the mobile? And what can they access in terms of reports that we just looked at? And then we have other setup criteria. I like to show the configuration settings. So our architects have back-end configs. They can configure the system, but we have front-end where you and I can change the behavior on the fly. If I look at receiving here, where I require an external signature, I could disable, refresh the cache, and it'll no longer prompt for that signature. I'll leave that there, but you can see manufacturing, field service settings. So a great deal of behaviors we can change and have immediate effect on the system. Continuing down, we can also work completely standalone. If you're not ready to do ERP integration, this is a great option where you can import and export data out of our system using our templates for bins, for items, for inventory, POs, picks, or transfers, and so forth, even bill of material. So that is kind of the web console capabilities. And so now I'm going to transition over to the mobile device that you see here. Now, you'll notice we have the warehouse functionality of purchase order receiving, directed put away, picking of those transfers out to the field, bin transfers, permission controlled inventory adjustments, ABC cycle counts, manufacturing if needed, and some more advanced functionality here around taking things on and off of hold, doing replenishments from overstock to primary, or cross-site replenishment as well. If I come out to switch warehouses here and I want to go out as technician 1, I'm logging into their site, and you can see a different set of icons here to look up my jobs that have been assigned to me. If I come here and I type in PW, I tap on the first job, I can see what's required. I get a comment from the jobs management system. Okay, good to know. And on this job, PW 12341, I have 2 items, quantity 4 and 5, to install on that job. Now, as a technician, knowing that, I can come in and request parts, which would create a transfer from the warehouse to pick and ship them to me, or pick and stage where I'll come to pick up those goods. Then continuing on, I would receive that inventory. I could pick up parts at Menards or Home Depot or Lowe's along the way. I can consume parts freeform for my truck. I could meet a fellow technician at a coffee shop and exchange parts. And at the end of the job, for unused materials, I can return them. So I always have a digital footprints, breadcrumbs, if you will, of every transaction in and out of my system. So at the end of the week, I can come in and do a cycle count on my truck and get a validation of the exact inventory that can be reviewed by management supervisors and managers. Doing a main screen scan here, I could look at my asset bin just by scanning that bin barcode, and it tells me here's the assets on my truck. Okay, and I see that hold indicator, meaning my truck actually needs to come in for some service, perhaps an oil change. If I back out of this, and if I were to scan the vehicle itself, for some of our clients, they're asked to, at the end of each week, to take a photo of the truck. Let's look at the inventory on the truck. I want to see that it's put away nicely. I want you to take a photo and send that here, and I can look at those different photos. You can always delete those and take a new image. But you can see here, this vehicle has a serial number, truck 1. It's assigned to me. It is an asset class, and it's in my asset bin. It is on hold, and you can see the maintenance date is well past due, so this is a bit of an issue. We got to get this in. Here's the mileage that I have to record at the end of each week, and issues logged here like left front wiper. So these are the kind of things that we can get into to help you with your fleet out there. And just coming back to the main warehouse, where perhaps there was a request of inventory, and I can fulfill that transfer order. So if I come here and I come into picking, I type in TRN so I can search on my order types, and 4006, it says, here's a message came from the ERP said, or the job tool that says, okay, let's ship this out to the driveway of the technician, and we'll send that UPS. And at this point, it's going to take me in the most efficient pick path to pick those items. So I come to the first bin, I confirm the quantity of 4 that was requested by that technician, and I come to the second bin location and pick the 5. I hit OK, raise it out, and OK, would you like to ship immediately? Now, before I do that, I'm just going to back up here. There is, okay, this is transfer 4006. I'm going to go ahead and hit yes, and I'm going to skip this because I'm not hooked up to a printer. Any other? Okay, we're good to go. I'm going to ship this out the door. And there is an image on the outbound. This is just a setting where I've said, hey, let's grab an image. So here I'm going to use my camera, capture an image of those materials that I'm shipping out to the technician, and then I hit OK. And I can note here that this is going out on LP 1742. And there's any other kinds of things, but I'll just move through this and final printing and ship now, and I'll say ship. So that is now gone out the door. If I then switch over to, imagine that went out UPS, and now I'm at truck one, I'm technician one, I'm logging into my mobile, and that arrives at my doorstep, these parts that I need. I can come in to receive inventory. Now, of course, I could have went to the warehouse myself and picked it up in the morning, but this has been delivered to me. So now I'm going to just scan the license plate. And as you might recall, that was LP1742. And you can see here's a confirmation of those two parts, 4 of these and 5 of these. So here is that digital handoff of exactly what's being received into my possession. If there were more packages on my doorstep, I could receive each of those through that license plate. I'll back out of here. Now I've got the parts, and I can come out to the job itself and search for that PW, grab that first job. And here, as I'm doing the installation, out of the inventory bin of my truck, I am actually, it's like a pick, but I'm consuming these parts. And so that first part, I can give it a scan, confirm the quantity. And if I weren't consuming the whole 4, I would just identify the 3 or the 2 that I did install. And coming to the next line, this panel, we're going to identify it and confirm the quantity. I want to just show you the options down here before I move through this. You can see I could print a label, get next bin, undo the receipt, short some of it. I've got options here, but I'll go ahead and consume parts. And what we're going to do then is this job is, I'll just hit OK, and I'm going to ship that consumption, and that is out the door. That job has been taken care of, and we've now communicated back to our job system and our ERP as necessary to consume this in real time. If we look out here at truck one and take a quick peek at the outbound, and if I'll just hit filter here, it was PW12341 is now in a complete status. If I look at the details, I can see John Doe did the work today, a time date stamp when I began and ended each line of the install or the consumption, and any other details would be present here. So you've got all that detail right here on the web console in real time. Okay, so at this point, what I'm going to do is transition back to our PowerPoint and come to the next slide here. So kind of in summary, the big payoff really is our customers find the time to cash is really significant. Through WithoutWire's real-time mobile inventory, you gain just-in-time supply of inventory, all digital transactions of receipts, consumption, counts, and returns. You eliminate taking multiple trips to complete a job. You eliminate the paper and the multiple data entry processes that you're probably doing today. You eliminate delays in reconciling inventory at the truck or against the job, and you're able to invoice clients real time. You eliminate shrinkage and lost inventory because you're doing regular cycle counts and digital transactions, and over and under supplies of inventory also gets diminished as you get to that just-in-time model. So this big payoff results in, on average, we found 30 to 45 days reduction in time to cash. And that goes right to your bottom line, as you know. So just wanted to point that out. We have a full team of professional services that we would engage with you on a project. We run through a 5-stage process we found to be very reliable: setup, scope, development, user acceptance testing, and go live. And certainly can follow up with more detail on our very broad support 24/7. And as a wrap up, there's ways to learn more at withoutwire.com or scanco.com. We have blogs and recorded webinars out there, and email or call with questions. So at this point, I'll transition back to Melissa for any questions.
Great, thanks, Steve. Let me take a look and see if we have any questions. We do. So I'm going to start off with the one that was first asked. When the technician receives inventory, can I see that in real time back at my headquarters?
Okay, great question. Yeah, so of course, as an app admin, you could look across multiple sites, and John Doe was acting as an app admin, so you could see where I could pull down and toggle from the main warehouse to go out to a truck or technician location and see that real-time activity as receipts are happening, as counts are being issued and counted, and yeah, so you do get that real-time aspect.
Perfect. The next one that I see is, can I use GPS coordinates to find the closest inventory?
Great question. Okay, so one thing I didn't share here, when I was looking at sites, you'll notice here as I do a site setup, and here I've got, all my sites set up. If I look at the warehouse, I might have some details here, but I also have latitude and longitude that are recorded for each site location, as well as you can imagine with your mobile, with cellular enabled, we have that capability as well. And so what often our technicians are doing is they're saying, hey, I need 4 of these parts. So let's say they're compressors. And my main warehouse where I normally get these is 4 hours away, but I know I have a technician 10 minutes away and 20 minutes away that could get me those 4 compressors. Why don't I give them a buzz and meet them at a coffee shop and exchange parts through our get and put capabilities? So great question. Yeah, that is commonly used with our application.
Awesome, thanks, Steve. That is the questions for today. So I'm gonna hand it back to you.
Excellent, and really that is, we are just about out of time, so I appreciate everyone joining us today, and encourage you to reach out to myself or others on our team so that we could engage with you to help you solve your challenges and get you that time to cash you're looking for.